Now, two things that OG is unable to prove to us in this debate. Firstly, they never proved to us how they can save the environment in the first place without the necessary resources. How can they actually implement their policy in the first place? And secondly, how can they provide a better life for their generation without economic growth? Because we believe that this is not a debate on whether which side harms the environment more, but which side are able to think of a better solution to climate change in the long run. And that is why on OO we prioritize economic growth over climate change. First of all, a couple of responses. They say that money cannot buy everything. Money cannot buy climate change, and money cannot restore things that we have harmed the environment. But we believe that we can use the money to reduce its effect. Like we can develop green technology, sustainable farming, etc. And we believe that just because it is urgent, we cannot just dive into it without any actual preparation, because in the status quo, we do not have the resources yet to prioritize environmental change over economic growth. For example, the natural disasters that the other side provided in their statistics, etc. The first thing we need to address isn't how to prevent it from happening again. No, we need to see how to better the problem. We need to provide shelter, food, a job for those people before thinking about how to better the people. Therefore, the point that they say about prioritizing climate change can help with economic growth no longer stands. And that is why first speaker from our side has proved to you how economic growth is necessary for combating climate change. And we believe that the other side, they mentioned a lot about tourism. We believe that tourism isn't a strong economic infrastructure. It can never actually provide enough income for all countries. And secondly, in order to attract people, to get money and reshape their country, where do you get it from in the first place? Economic growth is the answer. And what has my first speaker proved to you in this debate? Firstly, she proved to you that in order to combat climate change, we need economic growth, because the fact that we are poor, like extreme poverty, often forces people to prioritize immediate survival over long term environmental concerns. Like a lot of slums in poorer countries, the reason that they harm the environment is because they're poor, and harming the environment is the only way that they can actually survive. With economic growth, it can lift people out of poverty, empowering them to adopt more sustainable practices and participate in climate solution. Before I move on, I'll take that. But our point is that how can you actually prioritize that first without the necessary resources? We have asked this question over and over and over lots of times that economic growth is the main solution to climate change in the first place, and that is why we should prioritize economic growth. So let's come to the main argument in my speech is that we believe that there are many challenges facing the world and climate change is just one of them. The premise here is that the government needs to balance different priorities, not just focus on one. Different issues like education, healthcare, etc., are in the urgent need as well. The mechanism here is that, first of all, we refer to the term of sustainable development, and everything, even education and even healthcare, we need economic growth to address these issues. So sustainable development refers to the ability of a government being able to balance different issues and solve them. And okay, let's still be charitable and take OG's case that economic growth isn't important, and we can still save the environment by not focusing on economic growth. Even if they are able to make changes, those changes will not be significant because they don't have the necessary resources to develop in the long run. Maybe you can save them, but you don't have resources to develop the right green technology or green farming or sustainable farming to combat climate change. And we believe that a balanced approach is important for sustainable growth. There's no point in focusing on climate change with the economy going down and education degrading. And the impact here is that this can ensure a better future for generation, lower the impact on the environment by reducing air by reducing air, water, and soil pollution, and finally help in achieving long term economic growth. And this is only achievable on our side because we propose a more realistic approach to both the problem of climate change and to both sustainable growth, economic growth in the long run. And that is why we should prioritize economic growth over combating climate change. Never been proud to oppose this motion. Vậy lắm thế!